So I wanted to talk to you today about how narcissistic abuse is like brainwashing. And I know that can sound very dramatic and drastic, but by the end of this video, I'm going to explain 5 techniques that they use to brainwash you and why they're so effective. And of course, I'm also going to give you tips on how to break free of the brainwashing. And by the end of the video, you will know what's involved with deprogramming this brainwashing. So without further ado, let's get started. For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a trauma-informed coach, a somatic experiencing practitioner, and the founder of the School of Transformation, which to me is like nervous system rehab. It's where we meet live on Zoom every week, and we do the inner healing work to heal from narcissistic abuse, childhood trauma, and CPTSD together on Zoom. So if you're interested in getting that consistent help, make sure you check out the links below. So let's first understand exactly what is brainwashing. We're often more familiar with hearing brainwashing when it's referred to political or religious indoctrination, but brainwashing also occurs with narcissistic abuse. For example, the techniques of brainwashing typically involve isolation from either former associates or any sources of information. The person that is doing the brainwashing doesn't want you to have any other perspective or insight or input from anyone but themselves. Brainwashing also requires absolute obedience and humility. So there's pressure and rewards for cooperation, and there can be physical or psychological punishments for non-cooperation. This is a system of punishments and rewards in order to get what they want. So that being said, let's explore 5 techniques that the narcissist uses to brainwash their targets. Imagine your life being a garden full of friendships, family, activities that make you feel good. In other words, everything in this garden is in harmony with your values and reflects your authenticity. Narcissistic abusers want you to themselves. They want you to revolve around them 24/7. So they try to build walls around your garden, cutting you off from other people. They might do this overtly by criticizing the people in your life, or they might do it covertly by trying to act like they care and accusing the people in your life as being people that maybe don't understand you or that are not trustworthy. Regardless, over time, you're left isolated with only the narcissist in your life, making you feel like they're the only person you can rely on. Through this isolation, it weakens your self-esteem, your self-trust, your self-connection, which is a big part of how brainwashing starts. I remember when I was healing from a long-term narcissistic relationship and I was getting help for myself, and the person helping me asked me, they were like, when was the last time you were close with someone, when you could share who you really were, where you felt safe to share? And until that person asked me that question, I hate to say it, I was embarrassed at how many years had passed before that had happened. And the scary thing is that when I looked back, it wasn't necessarily that the narcissist said, you can't be with this person. It wasn't that obvious. But what would happen is they would plant these seeds of doubt, like, oh, that person, be careful with that person. They don't really care about you, or they're using you, or they're jealous of how close we are. And that's why they're telling you these things. Meanwhile, they were telling me things that they were noticing that were really unhealthy behaviors in the narcissist. But then the narcissist changes it and makes it like they're dangerous to your connection with them. And then when you pull away from that person who was a healthy person in your life, they reward you. They love bomb you. They make you feel so close to them. And you don't even realize what they're doing. They're using punishments and rewards to dictate your behaviors. If you spend time with the other person, suddenly you're in a fight with them. Doesn't make sense why, but there's the punishment. You withdraw from your friends, now they're absolutely adoring you. And when you don't understand punishments and rewards, they use that to retrain your nervous system to exclude everyone in your life but them. You might think that you've cut people off in your life for good reason, not even realizing that it's the narcissist that has made that decision for you. So really start noticing like who in your life was healthy prior to this relationship, and reach out to people that feel good to be around. Reach out to people that respect your viewpoints, your perspectives. Spend time with people that give you permission to be you. If the narcissist gets angry that you're getting close to other people, that you are spending time with people that make you feel good, then remember, boundaries are needed. And if you have not seen my video on boundaries, I'm going to leave the link here for you, because the boundaries are our way of getting that wall back around us. Narcissists cannot brainwash a person that has a strong self-esteem and a strong sense of self and self-identity. And by spending time with people that know who you are, instead of just with somebody that is rewriting who you are in a way that is convenient for them, is going to help you to maintain your sense of self. Gaslighting is when someone makes you question your own reality or your memory, very much like giving you a set of foggy glasses. A narcissistic abuser might deny things that they've said, or they might twist situations to make you feel like you're the one that's always wrong, like you're always overreacting or flat out crazy. For example, if they insult you and then you call them out for their bad behavior, they might twist it and turn it around and say, "You're so sensitive. I was just joking." Over time, this can make you doubt yourself and feel totally confusing, so that you wind up relying on them to define reality for you, which is what we would have to do if we had on a pair of glasses that we could not see clearly from, right? I have on a set of glasses I can't see, so what do? I need to hold on and let the person that can see guide me. Well, that's exactly what the narcissist wants you to do. They want you to be so confused that you trust them. In fact, you give the reins of your life, your whole perspective, onto them to guide every decision of your life. That's their goal. What they're hoping happens is that you're so confused that you end up just relying on them to define reality for you. It's like they make you put on those foggy glasses so you see things the way they want you to see them. Here are some signs that you might be being gaslit by a narcissist. If it doesn't make sense, the things that are happening in the relationship, maybe it's the disagreements, they just don't make sense and they leave you confused. Confusion is a big hallmark of gaslighting. The other thing that I often hear with my clients that always makes me think that this person has been gaslit is when they say things like, "Is it normal that I feel this way?" Or "Is it wrong that I'm upset when this person does that?" In other words, if you doubt your own feelings and you're feeling like there's something wrong with your feelings, that's a big sign that you might be being brainwashed through gaslighting. Imagine going on a roller coaster where you're lifted up really high and then dropped down really low. In narcissistic abuse, the abuser often starts by treating you like you're amazing, which is called, obviously, love bombing. They give you compliments, gifts, they give you attention. They make you feel really, really special, especially when you are acting in harmony with how they want you to be. But suddenly, they can start putting you down, criticizing you, or ignoring you when you're working out of harmony with how they want you to be. This creates a roller coaster of emotions that causes you to actually become addicted and crave the highs that you once had. And you also get used to the lows that also come right after. It's confusing, it's exhausting, and it makes you feel like you have to earn their approval just to feel good enough again. This emotional roller coaster makes you dependent on them for any sense of worth or happiness. Now, just to show how damaging this type of intermittent reinforcement is, let's talk about a study that scientists had with rats. Now, in one experiment, they had rats that were able to press a lever and get a pellet. So every time the lever was pressed, the rat got its reward. Rat was happy. In another experiment, they had the same thing, but each time they pressed the lever, there was no pellet. So the rat would press the lever and after a short period of time, realize that they were getting nothing and would leave the lever alone, had no interest in it. So they're like, okay, well, that's interesting. What would happen if sometimes they would get it and sometimes they wouldn't. Well, what happened was the rat became obsessed with the lever. Even when long periods of time would go where nothing would happen, they would not give up, knowing that there might be the chance that they could get it again. Well, doesn't that sound like narcissistic abuse? If you're in a relationship with somebody and you're receiving healthy love, care, and respect, you stay. It feels good. If you're in a relationship where you start noticing that you're giving and you're not receiving anything in return, like the rat that never got the pellet, healthy behavior is to let go of that and realize that that's not healthy. But the intermittent causes an obsession with waiting for and hoping for that one instance where you did receive something. And so it causes a person to stay in a relationship that is unhealthy and damaging far longer than they should. If you're in a relationship that is based on intermittent reinforcement, then ultimately the relationship and the punishments and rewards are governing your life. And when you're in the punishment phase, it can feel like you are emotionally starved to the point that when you get a tiny crumb, it feels like heaven on earth. And then you begin to chase that feeling and to do anything to be able to get it again. You become basically like the horse chasing the carrot on the stick. What you fail to realize is that your sense of self-worth and your ability to feel happy has become dependent on receiving the reward by the narcissist. In essence, you hand over your agency to them. Imagine looking in a mirror that's been broken by someone else. The reflection isn't accurate. You start seeing yourself as flawed or not good enough. It's very much like the mirrors in a carnival where you go through the house and they distort your size and your shape. Well, narcissistic abusers often criticize you in ways that target your self-esteem, making you feel unattractive, stupid, or worthless. And so if you're seeing yourself through a broken mirror, it's so much easier for them to control you because you're too focused on trying to fix yourself instead of realizing that they're the problem. Now, I can't stress enough how often the criticism flies under the radar of yourself or people around you. For example, I knew one narcissist who would not outrightly criticize his significant other, but rather would compliment people that were opposite. So for example, she was extremely skinny, and so he would always talk about women that were more full-figured. So she gains weight. Now what happens? Is the narcissist happy? No. Now they're talking about all the women that are thinner or how she used to be. And what happens is the person in this relationship is trying to chase their approval by changing themselves, fixing themselves, when in reality, there was nothing wrong with her to begin with. In another example, this is someone that I knew personally whose spouse was high on the scale of NPD. She had beautiful, long, thick hair, and he constantly was telling her about how beautiful women were with short hair. And so she goes to cut her hair. She shows up and I'm there. This is back before I even understood narcissistic abuse. We see her for the first time with her short hair and everyone's complimenting her. And he turns around in front of her and he's like, yeah, I think women are more feminine with long hair. If you had seen her face and the pain that was in her, because there she was trying to find whatever would make this other person happy with these subtle criticisms that he was giving her, that she was morphing herself into something that she didn't, by the end of that relationship, didn't even recognize herself in the mirror. Finally, narcissistic abusers often try to keep control by pulling on puppet strings of fear, obligation, or guilt. They might make you feel guilty for speaking up or afraid of what will happen if you make a decision that they're not happy with. You might feel obligated to stay in relationships because you don't want to hurt them, or you feel like it's your job to quote unquote fix things. And so this keeps you feeling trapped and unable to break free. And the reason we wind up staying stuck in the fog, the fear, obligation, and guilt, has to do with beliefs that have probably been running as subconscious programs for a very long time in our life. Beliefs like, I'm bad if I make this person upset. I'm unloving if I do something that they don't agree with. It's my job to make this person happy. I'm responsible for their feelings. All negative beliefs that are subconscious programs that might have been installed when we were children. Narcissists use these programs to keep us stuck. And so being able to break out of this type of brainwashing has to do with a whole rewiring of our inner belief system and our nervous system. And the reason I say that is because when you start changing, right? Because the narcissist isn't going to change, but when you start changing by not working in harmony with beliefs that don't serve you, beliefs like I'm bad if I don't listen to you, I'm unloving, I'm responsible, all the beliefs that I just mentioned, it can feel uncomfortable in the body because those beliefs have been running for a long time. And that's where nervous system regulation and rewiring is necessary on this recovery. And that's why I put together the School of Transformation, because that's what we do. We don't focus on the narcissist as much as we focus on why it's so hard to break free, how to upgrade the nervous system and change our beliefs so that we don't stay stuck in patterns that are stealing our life or making us unhappy. So if you're watching videos like this and you're in agreement with the information, but you're having a hard time embodying what you're learning, I encourage you to come join us live on Zoom, because that's what I help people to do. Breaking free from this kind of abuse can feel so challenging and so impossible because you've been brainwashed, because your thoughts, feelings, and even your sense of self has been being manipulated and shaped by someone else. It's as if they've programmed your mind and heart to doubt yourself and to think that you need them. Healing from narcissistic abuse means rebuilding your self-esteem, reconnecting with supportive people, and trusting yourself again. It's about taking off those foggy glasses, breaking down the walls that are separating you from you, and looking into a mirror that shows the real whole you. And that's what I help people to do in the School of Transformation. So make sure you come check out our live weekly Zoom meetings.